Why, hello everybody. I hope you're all doing fantastically well on this Thursday evening. I am. I'm doing all right. I'm thinking to myself, I'm a little bit irked up for the weekend. I can't deny it. I'm looking at Chelsea. I'm seeing a wounded animal. I'm thinking to myself, could we go there and do something? I'm thinking to myself, is this the ideal sort of fixture right now to be playing? I think there's a conversation to be had, but before we get into this video, everybody make sure you like, get your comments in the section below, and if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? You need to be subscribed to the One Leeds Fan Channel. Click that notification bell as well so you are notified anytime I or we upload. And let's get into it, shall we? Let's see a couple of your comments. I hope you've all had a good day. Ethan's in the building. Hello, my friend. Remy says, I'm feeling positive. 1-0, loads of chances. Missed, but we'll nick it 1-0. We all hate Chelsea. We hate Chelsea. I don't know if I said we all hate Chelsea. That doesn't go to the tune, does it? But Otis says, go on, Conor, lad. How you, Otis? Hope you're all right. Leeds Lee says, evening, Conor. We're every chance of picking up 3 points for sure on Saturday. I don't disagree with you, to be honest there. They're in need of a win in 3 points. And Potter more time. Here come Leeds United, and we all know it. Yeah, we've done this before, haven't we? And when I say we've done this before, I'm looking at Leicester away when they were rock bottom without a win in God knows amount of time. Then obviously you had West Ham United when they came to Ellen Road. They lost 6 on the bounce and they got a point at Leeds. So listen, Everton as well, another one where, you know, they came to Leeds earlier on in the season, managed to get a draw after a poor start. So yeah, it'd be nice for Leeds to be the trend bookers at this point. And I've used that term before, but Leeds almost, well, not the trend bookers, to continue the trend, I should say, and not be the trend bookers, because I've used that term since the Championship days, seemingly. You know, I remember Wigan coming to Ellen Road and obviously getting that incredible win against Leeds United that season in the Championship. I believe it was 2-0 or 2-1. And from then on, I started using it because that trend always seems to be booked by Leeds United. However, listen, as you can probably tell by my aura, you can probably tell by my sort of mood today, I am quite jubilant. I am quite buoyant. And you might think, Conor, what's going on here after we've lost to Fulham? Well, you know, I've been stewing on that game, and I didn't think I'd stew on it for as long as I have done, but I have. And after watching the performance back, believe it or not, I enjoyed the full, I think I watched another 70 minutes again. I was really impressed by what I saw in that game, and really when you're looking back at it, it was 2 individual moments of just world-class finishing that beat Leeds United, Solomon and Polina. It gave me hope. It gave me hope when we go back down to Craven Cottage. It gave me hope thinking of Leeds United's structure and organisation going into the tougher games, which Fulham is a tough game. You know, they're vying for the top 6 this season. And we were panicking them. We were really panicking them. And listen, we're not going to be holding the trophy for panicking teams at the end of the season, but it's a good blueprint, a good foundation. I'm seeing Leeds dropping into a solid rear guard whenever we're against the ball. Off the ball, we look very compact. And against Southampton and Fulham, we haven't conceded a big chance when it comes to Opta stats. Not a single big chance conceded in both games, which really is staggering. It's staggering when you look at the amount of chances we were conceding prior this appointment. And goodness me, wouldn't this have just been an idyllic appointment straight away? But anyway, we don't want to go down that little mire. But when I'm looking at Chelsea, when I'm looking at this game coming up, and I'm thinking, it's a tough game with the likes of Enzo Fernandez. I'm looking at Mudryk, who they've just bought for 85 million. They've still got Kai Havertz in there, Raheem Sterling, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You know, the amount of quality this lot have at their disposal is quite staggering. However, I do look at the last time we went down to Stamford Bridge, and Leeds were exceedingly unlucky on the back of a shocking penalty decision, which Jorginho tucked away in the last minute, which was heartbreaking. I remember that was probably the worst I'd felt last season, just in terms of one result and just being smacked in the gut, because I thought we were going to come away with something in that game. Now, this game, at the start of the season, we were all over them. We're absolutely all over them, and it was Leeds' standout performance of the season so far, the best performance. And we've only had 5 wins, which is why we are in the predicament we're in. But that win against Chelsea was superb. And at that point, we all thought, you know, it was going to be a story time. We're going to start building under Jesse Marsch, and hopefully there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. It wasn't to be like that, but this Chelsea team have barely improved, really. Obviously, that was a Chelsea team under Thomas Tuchel, probably more difficult to beat, accrued a decent amount of points under Tuchel when you look at the comparative and the ratio in terms of span with Graham Potter, and we're going to get onto that in just a little bit. But dire games from Koulibaly in that game. Kai Havertz was non-existent, and Leeds really got at them, and it was brilliant. And I think we're going to go about it in a very, very different way in this game. But it's going to be fascinating to see the strategical plan, and it'll be nice for Leeds to get one over on Graham Potter, wouldn't it? Sorry, Conor, says Dexter Fletcher, we are going down, mate. I wish it wasn't true, but we are as poor and as ineffective in front of goal as Everton and others down there. I can't disagree with you there, Dexter. I think in terms of how we play, I mean, Dyche has come in, he's tried to steady them up at the back, he's made them a little bit narrower, compact. Obviously, that's what they are off the ball, and they struggle to score in front of goal. I would say we are probably a little bit more effective in front of goal. However, when you look at the last 4 games, Leeds have scored 1 goal. We've scored 1 goal in 4 games against Southampton, and that was from our left back. I believe in Everton's last 4 games, they've scored twice, haven't they? Obviously, 1 against us and 1 against Arsenal. So, yeah, that side of things definitely does need to improve. I think I am a little bit worried about how clinical Leeds are in front of goal and the ruthlessness. I think, listen, we don't need to go over that and over that and over that. That is going to be a problem that is going to face Leeds United for the remainder of the season. I think the difference between us and Everton at this moment in time is Everton are relying on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who is consistently injured, and for me doesn't want to be at Everton. If you read certain reports, they're solely relying on him. Neil Maupay's not going to get any goals. He's just a very average player until he comes up against Leeds United. Whereas we have the likes of Sinisterra, the likes of Rodrigo, who scored, 10, 11 Premier League goals this season, to come back into the fold. So that's the difference, I think, between us and Everton at the minute. But that is not me saying Leeds are not going down, by the way. It's just me saying there is a difference between Leeds and Everton at the minute. And I think it's the fact that we've actually got artillery coming back into the side. Artillery in the shape of actual match winners. You know, Sinisterra is a match winner. Rodrigo is, this season, a match winner. So, does anyone feel Rutter looked lazy at Fulham? Was watching Somerville bomb down the wing. It's not really red-eye gaming. I thought Rutter was really good. I don't get the stuff with Rutter at the minute. I don't really understand what more he can do, to be honest, but that's just my thoughts on it. Football is a funny old game. Let's hope we're laughing at Chelsea after the final whistle. Louise says, need Rodrigo back and in form again. I'd agree, Louise. I think you bang on there. We do miss Rodrigo. I think everybody's on the same trajectory there, really. Dale says Wolves would be below us if they hadn't had an extra game. I think overall, there's systemic problems and bigger problems at Chelsea when it comes to Potter. I think when you look at their makeup, they need an ego, and I think when you get to the top 5 teams really in the Premier League, week in, week out, the traditional top 4, top 5 teams, you have to have an ego to manage these egos. And especially when Bowley's gone in and the amount of players that they've bought and the amount of money that they've spent, you need egos to manage that. You need a recognised ego to manage that. I'm talking a la Jose Mourinho, Thomas Tuchel, Van Gaal. You can throw so many names in there. Big elite level coaches who have huge heads when it comes to, I am the man. I can deal with this. And I think I really like Graham Potter. I really, really like Graham Potter. He did a little bit of academy work at York when I was there. I was never under him as a manager, but a couple of my mates were. And listen, he's done really well in the game, from Ostersund's to Swansea to Brighton, and it was good to see an English coach as well taking charge of a top 4, top 5 team, but I don't think it's going to work. We've heard him complaining about injuries. We've heard him complaining about the size of the squad at Chelsea. Now, for me, I don't understand why you're complaining about the size of the squad. If you're worried about the size of the squad, you just diminish some players to the under-21s and make them play there, and really get those bad eggs out of the squad. I don't think he has the minerals. I think he's too nice of a guy to do that. And I think that's maybe where the lowering of standards are coming in, and maybe the lunatics are taking over the asylum, if you will. So I'm not 100% sure that's ever going to work. Now, if you look at the results recently, and I was just having a quick look before I came on the stream, They have beaten in recent times at home. They've beaten Bournemouth, they've beaten Wolves, but they have suffered losses, and they've also suffered bad draws, to Fulham and other teams in and around. Obviously, they've lost to Southampton, haven't they? Recently, they've lost to Tottenham. They've drawn away at West Ham. Their away form is markedly worse than their home form. So that's something to take into consideration. And I think when we experienced Stamford Bridge when it was rocking not long ago, I think there is a real opportunity for Leeds United, to turn the crowd on Potter. And just for once, I would like us to be this trend booker, this team who go to Chelsea and frustrate their living daylights out of them, and really start to press on that screw. Because if you remember, everybody, when we went down to Tottenham earlier on, before the World Cup campaign, Tottenham, and I believe it was Conte at the time, was under pressure. Leeds went there, took the lead 3 times, lost the lead 3 times, and came out 4-3, on the back of a 4-3 loss. But the pressure was on. Now, that was a real opportunity for Leeds to hammer the nail down, turn the crowd on the Tottenham players, which they did 3 times. And really do that. Now there's loads of examples through that. In I believe it was Bielsa's second season, wasn't it? Do you remember Steve Bruce was in charge of Newcastle at the time? Leeds went up there and the crowd were ready to turn on Steve Bruce. Leeds went 1-0 up, boos, absolutely hounding around. And then for 40 minutes, Newcastle had the game and they equalised. Then the crowd got on top of it. So it'd be nice for Leeds, just in this one instance, to be able to hammer that nail in like we see so many other clubs do. Your Brightons, your Brentfords, teams like that, to one of the big teams' coffins, and that would be really nice. And I think Leeds have the opportunity to do that. I'm really impressed with what I've seen with Javi Gracia in terms of what I read out earlier, and I thoroughly believe that if we go and we frustrate them like Southampton have done. Southampton did it last week. Since then they've been beaten by Leeds United and Grimsby. If Southampton can do it, we can do it. So that's something that I really, really, really want to see from this Leeds side. Listen, I'm not going there expecting anything. I'm really not. Just the individual quality they have can win any game of football. And if they're all at it on the day, then who knows what can happen. But there is a real thing in football, everybody, about the players wanting managers out. We've seen it at Man United so many times. When the players want a manager out, player power is huge. They'll down tools, they'll do all this sort of stuff. I wonder if that's going to happen at Chelsea. Because if they've lost the Spurs game, if they lose to Leeds United, another 2 big rivals in a week, is that curtain called, So HLC Graphics says, keep up the great content. Think we can nick something this weekend. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that one. Ryan's in the building. Hi, Ryan. Chelsea, Brighton, Wolves, and Arsenal. What should we be hoping for points wise, realistically, in the next 4 games? I think they're really tough games, Ryan. I think if you look at all of them, even Wolves away, at Molineux, context applied to that, obviously from Ryan. Chelsea away, Brighton at home, Wolves away, and Arsenal. I believe it's Arsenal away as well, isn't it? So 3 away games in there. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough period for Leeds. But if it is a new Leeds, if it is a different Leeds, then we should be going to see these teams and frustrating them, And even Brighton at home, you've got to be looking at 3 points there, even though Brighton are a fantastic side. This is the guys. This is what we've left ourselves with, because we didn't pick up points because the director of football was incompetent and arrogant. He didn't get the previous manager out earlier. This is what we're facing now. This is the task that Gracia has. He has fixtures like this. He has fixtures like Tottenham, Newcastle, West Ham, Man City in his last 4. This is because of the incompetence of the board. Okay, this is why. However, we do have winnable home games, really winnable home games. We've still got Bournemouth, obviously, and teams, Crystal Palace and things like that to come to Ellen Road. We've still got Craven Cottage to go to away, which gives me a little bit of hope after the other day. But yeah, Grazia's job has been made exceedingly harder by the board, and that's why Jesse Marsh should have lost his job. Well, anyway, we won't get into that. I mean, I'll tell you when I think he should have lost his job, but 3 against 4 says, thanks for your donation, mate. He doesn't say that, but thank you anyway. Rutter isn't slow or lazy. He's just tall and runs a little goofy. I'm optimistic we're going to keep seeing him improve as the weeks progress. Yeah, I really liked him. I thought from I really didn't understand the criticism from a lot of people saying back to goal, he wasn't that good. I completely disagree. I think back to goal when he was fending off Tosin, who was about 5 inches taller than him, I thought he was doing really well. Gathering that link-up play. I think when we're playing transitionally on the counter-attack, he is the perfect man to go to because he's quicker over a short distance than Bamford is. He's got a better touch than Bamford. He has more shots and goals than Bamford. And I think, if a player is in form, you play them. And I'm not saying Rutter's in form here, by the way. I'm really not. But I think that performance against Fulham deserves a run out for me. It deserves it. And listen, if Bamford was scoring goal after goal after goal, I'd say it. But listen, Pat Bamford has had one amazing season for Leeds United in the time that he's been here, and that's been it. So everything else is very, very in and out. Rutter must start, says Sam. I'd probably agree with you, mate. Could be wrong, but yeah, it is what it is. Rutter was unlucky when he went off. We look worse. I agree with you. Hey Conor, let's get a win on Saturday, says Motown. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, let's get a win, obviously. So who's your bottom three, Conor? I think it's at the minute. I think Southampton, Bournemouth, and it's a straight shootout between us and Everton, which is dangerous because Everton have got a fair, this is why we need to win our home games, because Everton have got Brentford coming up at home. I can't remember who else they've got coming up at home, but you know what Goodison can be like at points. And obviously under Dyche, they've won 2 out of 2 at home. Oh, no, 2 out of 3 at home. Obviously, 'cause they lost to Aston Villa, but they always lose to Aston Villa. So yeah, it's going to be it's between us and them for me. But a lot of people saying Forest could get dragged in. I agree. And listen, we've got a pivotal game this weekend because we can't just look at Leeds now. It's got to be at other teams as well, unfortunately, because that's the predicament we find ourselves in. Everton are playing Forest this weekend, which is huge. It's absolutely huge, and we really need a draw in that one. We can't have Everton picking up all 3 points. Ideally, I don't want Forest picking up all 3 points as well. So for me, that's a draw. We don't want Forest to be getting 6 points ahead of us. We need to be dragging them back in. But yeah, for me, that's the bottom. That's the bottom 3. Okay. Crystal Palace will be in the relegation battle. Yeah, maybe. I just think they're a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if Palace are going to go. Zaha's coming back soon, isn't he? Fans were just so hyped with everything going wrong. They shot down Rutter. First chance they could get. Rutter over Bamford any day. Looking forward to seeing Rutter and Rodrigo together. The thing is, Econ as well, he cost 30 million, so we have to expect something from him at some point. I know I always come on here and say, you can't judge a player by his price tag, but unfortunately, in a sense, you do have to do that, especially when you go out in January and spend that sort of money. Obviously, he had the break with the German league as well, so he was quite rusty at the start. But even against Accrington, no, it's Accrington, but I thought he was all right. I could not. Look, I know he wasn't great, but the amount some Leeds fans went after him in particular, I was really, really shocked at. I didn't see him as that bad, to be quite honest with you. But football's football, isn't it? Graham says 4-4-2, Rutter and Bamford up front. Not for me, Graham. I don't think you can forsake a midfielder in a game like this. You'd almost, you need that midfield 3 for me. You need McKennie, you need Rocker, and you need Adams in there. Yeah, so for me, I'd be going with sort of the same thing we were looking at, really. And then off the ball, maybe we obviously have just one man up top and then we revert back into a midfield 5 or a back 5. And that's how you've got to look at it, really. The crowd are going to get on this lot. I'm telling you, there'll be Chelsea fans out there. There'll be Chelsea fans out there who want Chelsea to lose for Graham Potter to be sacked. The greater good. Short-term pain, long-term gain. That is what some Chelsea fans will want. I can guarantee you, because that's how football works. If certain teams want managers out, boom, they're all about just losing games. Then it's for the longer term. So it'd just be nice for Leeds. I'm looking at this weekend, and if we came out and we lost, I'd be really disappointed. And maybe that's naive of me. Maybe that's delusional of me. But I just see the predicament they're in. I see them as a team full of individuals who can win any game. But I just see the crippling anxiety at that stadium at the minute. I see the disjointed relationship between clearly the owner and the manager and the players. And I think Leeds have got to jump on that, because it feels at the minute we're a bit of a unit in terms of what Grazia has done in less than a week, in terms of shoring us up a little bit. Guys, the test is going to be, can we actually be composed, slow down, be calm, assured in front of goal, which when you look at Sinistera plays almost just his own space. I think every time Sinistera gets the ball, time slows down. I've always thought that, and you'll hark back. I'll hark you back to the goal he scored against Everton earlier on in the season. They went 1-0 up, or it might have been. Someone said last season. It might have been last season. I can't quite recall. But Anthony Gordon scored really early on. In fact, I'm just going to check that now. Everton versus Leeds, because I must be getting this so wrong. But I'm just going to check it now. If you guys can let me know in the chat, and I'll be able to actually use this reference. Leeds 1, Everton 1. Was this season? It was brilliant, yeah. So Sinistera scored in that game, and people are confirming that now. And time just stood still. It was a moment of absolute quality because we were not getting through that Everton rearguard. It wasn't happening. They'd scored first for Anthony Gordon, then we went and scored, obviously. But it is that individual quality, time slowing down, composure and quality on the ball. Rodrigo this season has been the exact same, to be fair. I think he snatches sometimes. I don't like his link-up play. Is he the answer? I'm not 100% sure yet, but that's my opinion. I'm not 100% sure he's the answer. Plays too much of like an advanced 8, number 10 for me, but you can't argue with his goal count, and hopefully he continues with that, but he does still have way more quality when it comes to finishing than Bamford. So yeah, that's what we have to come back, which is exciting. But just in front of goal right now, it needs to be way more composed. Somerville, and a viewer said earlier on, a subscriber said earlier on, about Rutter not putting in the same effort as Somerville. I think Somerville, as much as I like his endeavour, his energy, his pace, this was always my questioning with Somerville. It's in those key areas, like he did at Liverpool, to be fair, and Bournemouth. But I think there's been a larger, pile of data that when you look at Somerville in certain situations, certain areas, certain environments in that offensive third, he runs too quick. He's not got that composure that, let's say, Willian Gnonto has. So I think, if Somerville wasn't in the side, let's say, and Cini was in there, I think you'd see a different level when it came to Leeds United. Very, very similar to Rodrigo and Bamford, let's say. But yeah, as I say, what I like is how structured Leeds are at the minute, the solid bank that we've got, and the lack of just an ineffective, stupid unit press where 7 players go to the ball and the ball just gets bypassed and Leeds are in trouble and they're running back like headless chickens. I think that's great, and the fact that we look difficult to break down against one of the best sides in Europe when it comes to form. I thought it was very, very indicative as well, very, very indicative of maybe some ill harmony. I mean, we've spoken about the players' posts when Jesse Marsh left. There was barely any social media posts. Take of that what you will. But Adam's interview with Radio Leeds today, and he was basically just glowing about Grazia and he was saying he's come in, he's made us play wide, he's given us tactical points that we're all trying to stick to. He's got he's got individualistic game plans when it comes to opponents. And he sat there thinking, and he looked really, not surprised as such, but there was clearly a change in his voice, a change in Tyler Adams' demeanour and tone. He was almost saying that, yeah, and there is this now. That's the phrase he used. There is this now, or there is this. I can't remember how he transitioned it. But it was almost like there'd been a massive change. And in a week, that is damning on Jesse Marsh. Absolutely damning. More damning on the board, but we all know that. But it's also great to hear in a sense, because it's like the players almost have a routine now. They understand the points that they're supposed to hit. Someone literally came back to me on Twitter the other day when we were talking about the Fulham game. And he said, well, Marsh would have got this result. It's just like, not in a million years. We are getting absolutely... I mean, look at the Fulham game earlier on in the season when Fulham should have scored 10 goals. They were just opening us up at will. So to go there the other night and to really dominate for me, I think we dominated that game. They were so lucky to get out of that. A ridiculous referee decision. It should give the lads confidence for the weekend. And that's what I'm hoping. And listen, if we can't win the game, which I'm seeing it, I'm putting that as an objective. If Southampton can go and do it, we should be able to go and do it. 100%. So I'm setting that as an objective. Not an expectation as such, but an objective. If we don't meet that objective, what's the sub-objective? Come away with a point. Make it difficult for Chelsea to really gain anything. If we can get something on the break, fantastic. If we don't get 3 points, fine. Let's go there and not lose. That's my objective. I hate Stamford Bridge, not because of the fans or whatever. I don't really have I've always detested Man United way more than Chelsea. Maybe it's the era I was brought up in. But no, I'm not talking like the Chelsea fans and all this sort of stuff. But I think as a ground, it's always been very, very difficult for away teams to go to. Even fans of opposition teams have always said to me that when they've been down to Stamford Bridge, it's a graveyard. You really struggle to get points down there. So it's going to be tough for Leeds. It is going to be tough. But this season, it is a different Chelsea. And we've beaten them already. That's the blueprint. Under Jesse Marsch, we've beaten them 3-0. They didn't score a goal. And that was under Thomas Tuchel. They're arguably worse now. Well, they are worse now. They all clamour for Tuchel to come back. So I really think that this is something that Leeds can press the action on. CJ IAD says Leeds don't have Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse, our set pieces are horrible. I'd agree with you, CJ. I really would. Our set pieces, and you bang on the money there, they're still atrocious. I mean, Mark Rocker was on them the other day, and I was hoping for Mark Rocker to be able to deliver some elements of quality when it came to set pieces. Just dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Please get someone on set pieces who can just deliver a corner. A corner as a professional footballer. The one that sent me into a spiral about 2 games ago was when Willy Gnonto, the ball bounced twice before hitting the first man. Like, it's just a basic premise in football that when you are near the bottom of the table, you've seen it with Everton. That is what Everton focus on. You saw it against Leeds, you saw it against Arsenal when Tarkowski scored. You have to get your set pieces right. You have to be able to attack set pieces. The ball going off Robin, Cox's elbow, ball going off, probably not elbow because they're not be classified as handball, but his hip, and the ball's going off Voba's arse and stuff like that. They're the elements of luck that you get in a relegation battle. So for that, you've got to beat the bloody first man. So I agree with you, CJ. That has to be improved, because if that's not improved, it's completely pointless. That's something I actually tweeted the other night. I was so angry with the lack of quality with our set pieces. It just doesn't give us a chance in certain situations. So that has to improve. I think you're right. Henry Mitchell says, hey up Conor. What do we need to see from Grazia to keep him on? Will he stay if we go down? Can't be a repeat of Marsch and keep him on because we managed to scrape it and stay up. The thing is, Henry, with Jesse Marsch, we never saw any blueprint. What did we win? 3-12. He kept us up, he did, but we didn't see any style of play, any pragmatism, any ideas in those 12 games. Nothing. It was vibes FC. Now, 12 games for me is enough of a bulk of games to be able to judge a manager. They judged that 12 games and thought to themselves, we'll back him, we'll spend over 100 million quid in the summer, and then we'll continue with him for a further however many games they did. So that was just nonsensical to me. Nonsensical. So, yeah, as I say, everybody, on the debrief, go and have a look. We were talking in the summer about even new coaches then. Because I was never convinced on the guy. Was never, not disrespect, but I thought a lot of the time it was almost like he'd won a competition. It's a massive job, Leeds United. Hopefully we can stop taking short corners, says Ryan. Yeah, I mean the short corners are just incredible. Let's have a look. NFFC, I think you're a Forest fan, aren't you, mate? You had a ball against Chelsea in the first encounter, but the Bridge, a different kettle of fish. Wayne says, love the content. Thanks, mate. So anyway, I didn't answer your question, buddy. So basically, I went off on a rant, classic me. I'm basically saying that if Grazia shows a style of play, a blueprint, and we do unfortunately go down, but there is something there, and you think to yourself, right, okay, we can buy into that. He's going to take us back up. There's a structure we can defend. We're going to be able to. I mean, apparently there were Leeds scouts looking at Gokoresh last night at Coventry. Apparently there were scouts down there looking at him. Who knows if we were to go down, if he'd be one of our first purchases? I bet he would. Players like that, we'd hopefully go down there and invest in a lot, of real championship quality players and be able to keep some of the core players we've got now. I'm not looking at that. But in either division, if Grazia is able to set up well, and if they see in the remainder of the games that he's able to do that and have a plan, the players are working to the plan, and we're just really, really unlucky going down, then I think that we'll keep him on. I think that would be smart. But that's why there's an option to keep him on, because if we go toward the back end of the season and we get mullered and, things start to turn at Ellen Road and we've only won one game in the last, 14, it's against Southampton, then there's no way they can keep him on. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? Morning from Brisbane. Hi, mate. Loved hearing Adams. He sounded so excited. What was Jesse doing in training for Tyler to be so excited already? That's what I mean. And people were telling me that apparently if Jesse goes, we're going to see a downturn in McKennie and Adams. I think you saw McKennie's best half of football the other day, and I think Tyler Adams on that interview was glowing about Grazia. So it was never about Jesse Marsh. It wasn't. Verba can take a set piece, can't he? Jed, he can, but I'd like to see him in the box being a centre back. To be honest with you, Spencer's Chelsea are a great attacking and skill players. They just can't finish the dinner with Havertz up top. Yeah, their XG is unbelievable. I think their XG in the last 6 games is something like 21 goals that they're expected to score. So they still create chances. They just can't finish. So, yeah. Callum, do you see is staying up? 50-50, mate. 50-50. It depends. Yeah, it's us and Everton for me. I know people think differently, but for me, it's us and Everton. Evening from Cape Town. Hey, Charlie. Sleeping, but greetings from Vietnam. Where are you, Paul? I went to Hue. I've been to Hanoi. 4.9 at the weekend. Trav says, love that Grazia gives nothing away. I do too, mate. I think it's really nice. Even when Bielsa used to talk sometimes, I was a little bit, okay, let Marcelo tell us the team news before we've had an hour-long press conference. But yeah. Neil says, we're staying up. Fair enough. Mark says, sometimes we're correct and equally incorrect with our views. The best comments are the balanced ones. Now then, Conor, big Paul in the building. I'm going Saturday. Lucky omen. Hopefully, Paul, I'll need an in-depth match review afterwards, mate, on WhatsApp. But yeah, guys, let's leave it there. I've really appreciated you guys. Well, I think we've just had this as well. Neil says we're 100% staying up. Nice little one to end on. Going to leave it there. It's been an in-depth match preview. Shock. There's 630 of you in here. If I could have 630 likes, everyone, that'd be great. It's free to do. It's just that little thumbs up button. Yeah, if you want to join the Patreon, links in the description below if you fancy doing that. There's a thanks option as well if you just want to donate to the channel and you can't be arsed with a Patreon. That's fine as well. It just helps the running of the channel so you can do stuff like this and I can produce editing things on software and pay for that per month. So I really appreciate any help, guys. But yeah, thank you so much for your support, and we'll be back tomorrow probably with some content. So until then, everyone, have a lovely evening and let's get that result against Chelsea. Massive for Leeds United. Cheers.